bunch of comments that I've tried to get back to. Everything's just been so busy and so crazy. Well, I say busy and crazy. I don't mean business has been awesome. I don't mean that at all. As a matter of fact, I've thought a few times about running for the hills. It's gotten so bad here lately. But I switched companies. I left the company that I was working for and went to XPO. I'll touch on that. Business did a nosedive because of all this virus stuff, and has had a little bit of a recovery, at least as far as right now. So I'll get into that too. So I think last time I was on here, I was thinking about leaving the company that I was with and going to XPO Logistics Drayage out of Savannah. The difference in the companies, there was a few differences in the companies. The company I was originally with were primarily live unloads. The containers were pre-pulled to the yard, so I did not have to go into the port. I would simply go to the yard, typically with my empty box from the day before, and I would drop that empty box, pick up my load for the day, and then go deliver it, sit there while they unloaded me, close the doors and go home. Then the next day I'd do the same thing again. Business did get slow with that company. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know it had been a pretty consistent type of slow for a long time. So I had been with the company almost 2 years, tried to stick it out. Things got really bad, then they got better, and then they got bad again. And of course, I could see that it was going to get even worse with the virus, so I finally jumped ship and went to XPO. I knew they were a bigger company. They're worldwide, really. XPO, the XPO brand is worldwide. Now, XPO Drayage is just a division of XPO, but they got their fingers and they got their hands in everything. So I figured, you know, if it did get extremely slow, a huge company like that might be something to go with, even though there would probably be more bureaucratic crap and all that kind of stuff to deal with. At least I figured they would probably have the work. From the research that I was doing, they did have the work. Even at the start of all this virus stuff, they still had the work. So I left. I went and did orientation for XPO and signed on there. It only took maybe a week and a half to get everything done. Overall, it was orientation and all was a pretty good experience. Didn't have anything negative. Got to meet all the dispatchers. It was really different. You know, there was the company that I was coming from, there was one dispatcher, and she's the only one I ever dealt with. And, you know, going over to XPO, there was a bunch of dispatchers for different types of things, different types of runs and stuff like that. So, pretty much kind of picked my dispatcher, you know, that I was not comfortable with. She was really nice, but she had the type of loads that I wanted to do. So I told her that I'd like to stick with her and just run whatever she had. So with XPO, you do have to go into the port. You do have to get your own container. When you're done with your load, you have to take that empty box back into the port and get your next load. So I mean, the port wasn't bad. Anybody wondering if they should start doing this and they're worried about the port, I was extremely worried about the port. I made myself sick worrying about it because I had never gone into the port before. Piece of cake. I mean, 2 or 3 times you got it down. The first 3 times you may be a wreck. After that, you're good. It took me on average about 45 minutes to an hour in the port. There's things, of course, that can happen. Extenuating circumstances. There may be a day where you're stuck in there for 3 hours. That didn't happen to me. I think the longest I ever spent in there was an hour and a half, maybe. I did not stay with XPO. I'll go ahead and throw that out there now. That way, if I keep talking about it in the past tense, you're not confused. And here's the reason why. They were a great company. They had good people. My dispatcher was awesome. She was one of the best dispatchers I've ever had, probably. She was super nice, super easy to work with, and had no problem there. I didn't have any problem with the people there. They're so big that, first of all, the company that I came from, they had their e-logs on a phone, and they had a kind of like a load tracker that you signed into when you picked up a load. You clicked on it and it opened it up and it tracked, you know, where you were, when you got to the customer, all that kind of stuff. But you didn't have to worry about any of it. You didn't have to do anything. You just clicked on it and opened it up. And then in your logs, you just entered in what trailer you were picking up and where you were going with it, the typical stuff, and then that was it. You didn't worry about it until the next day when you picked up your next load. You would update all your information. Well, XPO, back up. Also, the company that I was with paid you by the load. So, if I was to go to Savannah and pick up a load, take it to Atlanta, and bring it back to Savannah, that load would pay, let's just say on average, $675. That was round trip, fuel surcharge included, one price, done, out the door. That's all you had to worry about. You figured in your fuel, how much fuel you know, and you would subtract that from that number. You know, say I wanted to put $200 worth of fuel in, and the load paid $675. I know I'd make $475 off that load after fuel. So that was really simple and really easy to do. Now, when I got over to XPO, first off, their computer system was super confusing. Yeah, they had it on a tablet. They used J.J. Keller logs on the tablet, which is just awful. It's non-responsive. It doesn't update when you start moving half the time. When you stop, you have to click on the status button forever to get it to change. It was just really aggravating. And when you're in the port and you know that crane's taking your box off and you pull up and you're having to update that information real quick, it gets aggravating when the thing is laggy and it doesn't want to update, it doesn't want to respond. Also, they broke their moves up individually. Like, that was just really complicated. So if you picked up a load from the port and took it to the customer up around Atlanta, I just use Atlanta as an example. Actually, I did more Macons than I did Atlantas, so I'll use that as an example. If you picked up a load from the port and took it to Macon, Georgia, that would be its own work order and move. And you would have to scan with the tablet, you would have to scan your gate out ticket. And if you had paperwork, you would have to scan that, send that in to XPO to get paid for that move. Then when you drop that in Macon and you picked up an empty box to bring back to the port, that would be its own work order and its own move. So you would have to go in there and click on that move, enter in all the information for that move. Then when you got to the port, you would have to scan in your gate in receipt and send it off to XPO to get paid for that move. And then they paid you around $35 to $55 fuel surcharge for each of those individual moves. And then you would add all that up together and you would get what you were making off of that round trip load. That my old company would have just said, this is the number, this is what the whole thing pays. So I didn't like that. Also, the company is so big that if you don't send off the information right and they don't get it, or you're in an area with bad reception and you send it off and it doesn't go through, then when you get your settlement, you'll notice 2 or 3 moves, 2 or 3 work orders that are not on there. And I'd have to go into my tablet and look, and it would tell me, oh, well, these loads didn't send, they failed to send. So I would have to resend them, and then they'd have to repay me on my next settlement. And so no settlement that I got was had everything that I had done on there. It's just so tedious, and you kind of have to be your own accountant and make sure that you're getting paid. And you know, the company that I had come from, you didn't have to worry about any of that. They told you what the load paid, and that was going to be on your settlement. You did not have to worry about anything. The only thing you may have to worry about is if you got detention pay, because anything over an hour sitting and getting unloaded, you would get detention pay. So you might want to check and make sure that you got all your detention pay. But other than that, they paid you for everything. So I was a little disappointed with XPO, and I know that it's just because they're so big. You kind of got to look out for yourself and be your own accountant, and because they're not looking out for you, they don't care, and that's really not their fault. They're just a lot bigger of a company. They can't sit and double and triple check every driver's loads and see if things went through and all that kind of stuff. You gotta fend for yourself. So that was pretty aggravating. The reason that I switched to XPO was, like I said, one was the thought that they would stay busy even when it would get slow because they were such a big company, and 2, they're dropping hook accounts primarily over there. So yes, you have to go into the port, and that takes you about an hour and a half, but on the other end, at the customer, you're just dropping your load and hooking up to an empty and bringing it back. So I figured, oh, well, that would be great. There's no appointment times. You work on your schedule because there's no appointment times. I was like, that'll be great, you know. Well, it turned out it wasn't that great, because it turned out if I know that I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time, I'm not getting out of bed. So, you know, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know that I like to get up early and get home early. That's the way I like to run. Well, I wasn't getting up until 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and because of that, I wasn't getting home till 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And a lot of that had to do with I was just sleeping late, because I knew that I didn't have an appointment time or anywhere that I had to be by some specific time. But also, you would get to some of these customers And the drop and hook that's supposed to be so easy would take like 45 minutes, because some of these customers would be so big that you would spend so long going through the process of dropping your trailer, because they want to inspect your trailer. Some of these customers up in North Atlanta now, so you got a long turnaround every day going from Savannah to North Atlanta and then back home. I live in between Macon and Savannah, so that's a big turnaround. And then, you know, you're adding all this time and dropping and hooking that's supposed to be so quick. Didn't turn out to be so quick. After they inspect your trailer, you gotta find a spot to put your trailer, then you got to pick up a trailer with an empty box on it. You gotta inspect that trailer. It just wasn't as easy as it sounded. Meanwhile, I have the company that I left calling me, wanting me to come back, telling me that if I came back within 30 days, I wouldn't have to do any paperwork. I wouldn't have to re-sign a lease, anything like that, that it would all still be good. I just take XPO's sticker off, put their sticker on, and go. Long story short, I did that. I left XPO. I don't know if it was really as complicated as it seemed, if I would have got used to it, but it just seemed, in comparison, a lot more complicated than where I had come from. And where I came from, it was just so simple. You just left your house in the morning, went to the yard, dropped your empty box, picked up your load, went and delivered it, opened the doors, let them unload it, close the doors, and go home. It was just really simple. Even though there was appointment times and stuff like that, sometimes it worked out in my favor. You know, I mean, if that customer got detention or took, you know, 2 or 3 hours to unload, that's $65 an hour for me after the first hour. And at 4 hours, you get layover pay, which is the 4 hours of detention plus $250. So there was times when I made $1,000 off of a $500 or $600 load. So yeah, long story short, I went back, and even though at the time they were saying, well, you're probably only going to get about 3 days a week if you come back, just in all disclosure. But another thing about XPO, I was running a lot of Macon loads, and those loads, you know, there's only, I don't know the mileage, but it's only about 2.5 hours from Macon to Savannah. So those loads only paid about $500, everything included. And I mean, it just, they were heavy paper mill loads, and they weighed about 50,000 pounds. So it was heavy. Drank a lot of fuel. I ran 6 loads one week, Monday through Saturday. Did 6 loads, and made in that week I made what I made in 3 days at my old place. So if I'm gonna make that kind of money, now I did make a couple of good paychecks running up North Atlanta, but like I said, there was some nights I didn't get home till 8 or 9 o'clock. It was awful. You know, I can do a day right now, I can do about an 11-hour turnaround, maybe a 10-hour turnaround. That's me leaving the house, going to Savannah, getting my load, taking it wherever, and then going home. I can normally turn around in about 10 or 11 hours. There, I was using up every bit of my clock, every bit of it. So, I mean, there was 13 and 14 hour days. So for all that work and the same pay as what I can make in 3 days, place I had come from. I just said, I'm going back. So I went back and maybe did 2 weeks running 3 or 4 days a week, and boom, things picked back up, and now we're running 4 days a week. I didn't run, or 5 days a week, I'm sorry, we're back 5 days a week, pretty much. Every now and then there might be a fluke and I'll only get 4. This week I only got 4. I had to take the truck to the shop on Monday because it was losing charge. Lost my radio, my lights went dim, bolts went all the way down. I thought my alternator was going out. Turned out my battery terminals just need to be cleaned. So that was good. That was only like a $65 fix. So anyway, a lot of people are asking me about containers. The work is there right now, and by right now I mean like right now, like the past 4 weeks maybe, and right now, but it's so hit or miss. It's just so hit or miss. And I mean, there's been days that I've run 5 days, and then the next week run 3 days. And it's gotten bad, and it's gotten unpredictable. On the good weeks, they're good weeks. So if you're coming into it, account for the bad weeks, because you just don't know what it's going to do. And actually, in all honesty, I just wouldn't do it right now. If you're getting your own truck, if you're thinking about making a move over to containers, I just wouldn't do it right now. It's because I think that I feel like we're in a bubble right now, because things got so slow. China opened their ports back up, and I think we're getting, alright, sorry about that. They called me for dispatch for tomorrow. So what was I saying? Yeah, it's really hit or miss. So I feel like we're in a bubble, and because China had their ports closed, then they opened them back up. So I feel like we're getting a rush of everything that China had sitting there in the port, and them ramping their manufacturing back up. But we didn't close the ports here, but everything shut down here. Manufacturing shut down, a lot of it. People weren't working. So there's going to be a big financial crisis coming up. And they're not going to be shipping things if we're not buying things. And I think we're going to get there. People ain't run out of money yet. People are sitting at home, and they're clicking on Amazon, and they're shopping. We live in a consumer world. But when the reality of this financial problem hits, and people are like, oh crap, we're running low on money, they're going to stop buying, and China's going to stop shipping. So I feel like we're in a good spot right now, but not for long. I may be wrong. I don't know. I mean, really, who knows? That's just kind of my mentality, and the way that I'm thinking. We're getting everything now that they had sitting over there, and people are buying because there's money in the bank, but there's not gonna be money in the bank for long. So if you're thinking about getting into it, it's great if you want to be home every day. It's great if you want to call the shots. It's great if you don't want to have to worry about, going to this state, delivering, having to find a load to go to this state, then work your way back home and all that mess. If you want to, work more like just day to day, a delivery a day and go home, it's great. You can't beat it, really. When it's good, it's good. It's not too bad, you know. Maybe I'm doing. I think the company that I'm at, I think it's like $1.25 a mile, which doesn't sound great at all. But you know, I'm just running Georgia, maybe Alabama, maybe a Florida here and there. So not too much wear and tear, not exuberant amounts of fuel. So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, you're looking at, honestly, on average, you're looking at about $2,000 a week gross. That's after fuel, because they'll take fuel out. So when you get your settlement, you're looking on average, if you ran 5 days, around $2,000. If you ran a few good loads that week, by good I mean, you know, a little further out, you may be looking at $2,200–2,300 a week, and that is after fuel. That's what your settlement will be. But then you got your truck costs, you got you know, your maintenance, all that kind of stuff. But you do all that how you want to, you know. So that's what you're looking at. On a bad week, if I run 3 days, my settlement's going to be about $1,400 bucks. About $1,400 bucks for 3 days. So, you know, it is what it is, and take it for what it's worth. But I would hate for anybody to go out and lease a truck or buy a truck right now, and then the whole thing comes crashing down again in a month. I know after I got this one, I ran good and solid for about a month and a half, and then and it wasn't even containers in general. It was just the company that I was with. Lost a bunch of accounts, and our business took a nosedive, and that's when it all started. It finally picked back up a little bit. It's finally looking a little better, and then this Corona crap happened, and it started to go down again. That's when I switched over to XPO. So, but I am back. I am back now. So, I mean, if you got any questions, specific questions that I didn't answer, you know, of course, comment. The truck is running okay right now. I really mean okay, because it's not doing great. It is leaking power steering fluid like crazy, which it's done that since I got it, and I just haven't bothered to get it fixed. I just keep filling it back up. Now I'm losing coolant. I don't believe it's going into the engine or anything. I got some high pressure hoses up here in the firewall that go into the heater core, into the firewall up by the air conditioning system and all. It's leaking from there, and it's leaking pretty bad. So it started out, I was having to put coolant in about twice a week, and now it's every day. Every day before I leave, I gotta fill it back up, because it's losing a pretty good amount. So I'm gonna have to either have that replaced or put a cutoff valve on it or something. And then I'm getting transmission faults constantly, all day, every day. My check engine light will come on, and it'll I have a little digital readout that shows me what gear I'm in, because it's an automatic, so it shifts itself, but it shows you what gear you're in, and it'll flash back and forth between F and the gear that I'm in, and below that it'll say general transmission fault, and it'll flash back and forth, but literally nothing's wrong. Like, I mean, as far as I'm aware of, it drives fine, it shifts fine. I mean, it's a little noisy. If I'm pulling something heavy and it shifts in the low gears, it kind of sounds like a tin can rattling around under there. I'm not sure what that is. If I'm about to have a bigger problem, I don't know. But I mean, I got to make money, so you know, I can't just throw it in the shop because it's throwing a code. Because this truck has shown me numerous times that it's sensor sensitive. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I can go get a truck wash and get the engine washed, and it'll throw all kind of codes for like a day and a half because the sensors got wet, and then after that it'll be fine. And it's funny because this general transmission fault that I've been getting, it's worse when it's wet outside. So I don't know if water or crap is getting up in a sensor in there and throwing these codes, if it's a bad sensor or what. But I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But and there may be something in there that is broken, it's just not showing symptoms yet. But it's not leaking transmission fluid. The transmission isn't getting overly hot. So, I mean, I can't really just throw it in the shop because, you know, especially for something like that, they'll charge me an arm and a leg just to say, oh, it's a bad sensor. So, anyway, if anybody's got any ideas, or if anybody's driven any ProStars that has happened there, let me know. So, anyway, I'm gonna try to be a lot better. I hadn't made any videos in a while. One, because I've been excuse me, going back and forth between these companies, getting reoriented with everything. And two, my computer, I have an older MacBook. I did an update on the iOS, and it started running like crap. It wouldn't even open iMovie for me to put my video in or anything like that. So I was just putting up like raw video there for a while, and I didn't really like that. I kind of want a little bit more production. People may or may not care about that, but it's just kind of a hobby thing for me, so I like doing it. But yeah, it wouldn't even open iMovie or anything like that. So I was having to upload videos from my phone, which takes forever. And so I ordered me a new computer, PC this time, because you get so much more for the money with a PC. So I got it yesterday and been playing around with it. So I said I'll go ahead and make a video. I downloaded me some, because I just used iMovie on my Mac. So I downloaded me some free video editing software, a couple of different ones for this new PC that I got. So I'm gonna throw this in there and try to make a new little intro video and all that kind of stuff, and just see how it goes. So I'm gonna try to upload some more videos and maybe go more in a little bit more of a vlog direction, because really, how much can you really talk about when it comes to trucking? I mean, I kind of do the same thing every day, so I mean, I almost feel like it'd be a little bit more interesting just to kind of film my way through the day instead of just getting on here and just ranting to a camera about the same topic every day. So if anybody's got any ideas, let me know. That's all for now, guys. Take it easy and be blessed and stay safe. Oh yeah, and my air conditioning's out too. Gotta love that.